Welcome to the case study on understanding how power dynamics affect conflict. Greg and Bob have worked together for years and have always had a friendly relationship. A year ago, Bob was promoted and is now Greg's supervisor. Recently, Bob has noticed that Greg seems to be avoiding him. Bob stopped by Greg's office one day to check in, and the conversation was awkward. Bob even asked if everything was going okay, and Greg assured him that it was. But everything is not really okay with Greg. Since he was promoted, Bob has increased Greg's workload and given him extra responsibilities. Greg doesn't want the added pressure of taking on these projects, but he is afraid to say something to Bob. Bob has made several remarks lately about how lazy some of Greg's fellow employees are, and Greg is afraid Bob will think he is lazy also if he speaks up. What should Bob and Greg do? Think about issues of power dynamics and how these two parties might move forward. Pause the video here and restart when you are ready. Here are some case study suggestions. As the higher power party, Bob should recognize that he may be less likely to listen to input and more likely to say what he thinks without censoring himself because of his new role. Being aware of these tendencies may help him avoid them in the future. Thinking carefully about the implications of his words is important, and he should refrain from talking to one employee about the work habits of other employees. Making an effort to connect with Greg and showing his concern for Greg's morale is a good first step. Following through on their conversation by asking Greg for suggestions for ways to improve the working environment might be a helpful next step. Greg, as the lower power party, likely perceives potential harm if he speaks up. However, he should remember that he also has power in the situation. Bob has shown that he trusts Greg to do extra work, so Greg probably has some expertise power. If Greg approaches Bob and explains the situation, there is a good chance that Bob will listen and understand. If Greg does not get the result he hopes for, he should calmly persist in trying to help Bob understand his position.